The 8.0 update will bring some great changes, such as the new physics system, improved graphics, and interface updates. However, the developers are not only making World of Tanks more spectacular, but they are also going to add several new vehicles. A new branch of Soviet tank destroyers. You'll get more detailed information about them in this video. The new tank destroyers are fast and accurate vehicles that are similar to medium tanks, but without the turrets. Their speed and firepower make these TDs special. The new Soviet tank destroyers differ from other TDs, so let's take a closer look at each vehicle in the new branch. The first vehicle in the branch is the Su-100M1. This is a Tier 7 TD and it is based on the T-3485 medium tank. It is capable of moving through the battlefield very quickly, finding the most effective firing positions and escaping from enemy fire. Its acceleration, maneuverability, and small size make this tank destroyer very dangerous in the right hands. The Su-100M1 is spiritually similar to the American T-25AT. They've got the same speed characteristics and their guns have comparable capabilities, great damage and high average penetration. So the playstyle for these vehicles is similar. The Su-100M1 is a universal tank destroyer, allowing you to fire on enemy tanks without being spotted or capture key spots in support of a group of medium tanks. The Su-100M1 is equipped with a good gun. It has very good penetration, which can be beaten only by the French tank destroyer, pretty good accuracy, and an amazing rate of fire. In comparison to other tank destroyers, the Su-100M1 is smaller, and this gives it a better camouflage factor than many tanks. It is very important to stay hidden, because this vehicle is very weakly armoured. The frontal armour isn't very strong, and is really only effective against the tanks of lower tier opponents. However, the most dangerous enemy for this tank is artillery. The top armour is thin, and the crew is located well behind the front armour. When artillery shells hit the roof, the chance for it to penetrate the poorly armoured top is quite high. This means that you will take full damage from most artillery, and that is why long-term survival is one of the biggest challenges for this TD. All in all, the Su-100M1 can set the pace of battle, forcing the enemies to try to keep up or die. You have to be very experienced and calm enough to make them do it. If you don't have much experience, this vehicle will be a challenge for you to master. However, the Su-100M1 will prepare you for the next TD, the Su-101, which continues developing this dynamic technique for Soviet TDs. The Su-101 is very similar to its predecessor in its layout, as well as in its characteristics. It is even faster and unique among Tier 8 TDs. There is no other Tier 8 TDs with similar performance to the Su-101. The French AC MLE 1948 is also fast, but at the same time it is much larger and has poorer maneuverability, so you can't really compare these vehicles at all. The main difference between the Su-101 and its predecessor is its gun. It has a lower rate of fire, but damage and average penetration are equal to the gun of the ISU-152. The Su-101 often gets into high-tier battles, so it is very important to understand your role. You still have poor survivability against artillery, so you should be very careful. You can influence the balance of power on the battlefield greatly by using your high speed and great camouflage. You can do a lot of damage to any tank on the field. The Su-101 is most effective in the second half of the battle, when you already know the positions of enemy tanks and some of the enemy team is destroyed. This is when you can have fun, destroying everything left alive. In addition, you can do it quickly and quietly. The Su-122-54 is a Tier 9 TD that is based on the T-54 medium tank. It is a great vehicle for this branch because its speed and maneuverability are a great improvement. Despite the fact that the top speed of the Su-122-54 is a bit lower than the T-54, its maneuverability is very similar. This gives you some advantages on the battlefield. The Su-122-54, like the Su-101, is equipped with a 122mm gun, but compared to its predecessor, this weapon is better. You can choose between two top guns on this tank destroyer. The first gun buffs the 122mm gun up quite a bit. The second one, a 130mm gun, differs from the first gun in its much higher average damage. However, its rate of fire, accuracy and aiming speed are lower. You must choose carefully, selecting the gun you are going to equip based on your own tactical preferences. In contrast to the Su-101, the crew is located in the front part of the hull. However, the armour is still very poor on top. Only the mantlet armour around the main gun can protect you from heavier shells. This TD is an evolution of the Su-100M1 and the Su-101, so you can use all of the skills you've gained earlier. The enemy will have no clue what he is dealing with, because there are no other vehicles like these. The best tactic for the Su-122-54 is to flank enemy tank destroyers, suddenly appear behind heavy tanks, and face the medium tanks head-on. Its layout hides the hidden power of this tank. Just look at it. In comparison to the other Tier 9 TDs, this vehicle is a really small target and can be easily hidden. You can be very efficient support for your allies, because you can drive behind them and help them destroy an approaching enemy by attacking him from the flank. The accuracy of the 122mm gun also allows you to fire at long range without much risk of being spotted. The Su-122-54 has all the best features of the regular TDs, and it is the best example of the tank destroyers of this line because the Tier 10 tank destroyer, the Object 263, is completely different. First off, it is based on the IS-7 heavy tank. The top speed is still high, but its maneuverability is poor. Second, the Object 263 is much larger than its predecessors. Third, at last, you have strong frontal armour. This armour is so strong that it will probably even protect you from high-tier heavy tanks. However, the open top is the weak spot of the Object 263. In addition, the 130mm gun is different from the guns of the other top 10 tank destroyers. It doesn't do a lot of damage, but this is balanced by an outstanding rate of fire and great damage per minute overall. Its good speed, strong armour and high rate of fire makes the Object 263 a solid vehicle for stopping the enemy or defending the flanks with heavy tanks, or providing the main firepower for an attack using medium tanks for support. The Object 263 is able to snipe in combat because its gun is very accurate and capable of hitting targets at long range. This, as you probably know already, is the safest way to shoot. As a result, you've got a unique TD, which gives you a new experience on the battlefield. You can feel the IS-7 chassis in its poor maneuverability, strong armour, and ability to adapt to any situation. All of these new tank destroyers differ from existing vehicles in World of Tanks. It seems that the last changes in this area come from the French tech tree. However, these new Soviet tank destroyers give us some fresh tactics comparable to the techniques we use for medium tanks. At the same time, these vehicles do well at long range. These tank destroyers are for those players who like a challenge and a variety of tactics. You will meet these TDs soon in Update 8.0.